Hello and welcome back to the Striha Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and on today's episode, I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on a couple major events in professional sports. I'm by no means professional, but I do love talking about sports, so thank you for joining me. So this is just going to be a quick episode. I'm just going to be kind of overviewing Super Bowl 57, I believe, that just happened a couple weeks ago, and LeBron James breaking the NBA all-time scoring record. So it's not going to be a long episode, just kind of wanted to overview those and kind of give my thoughts on them, just because, two pretty big things in the sports world, so why not? But starting with Super Bowl, just overview of the game. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. Philadelphia's quarterback, Jalen Hurts, threw 27 for 38 for 304 yards, one passing touchdown, and he had 15 carries for 70 rushing yards and three rushing touchdowns. I was super impressed with Jalen Hurts. It's not like he's looked bad at all this season. I've seen a bunch of people online and a bunch of people saying it, that he just continues to get better, like since high school or maybe it was freshman year of college. He's gotten better at least one thing, or specifically one thing, every single year. And he looked like he played in the Super Bowl like it was his fifth time there. He did not play like a quarterback who was making their first Super Bowl, who was going up against Patrick Mahomes, who is arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Already you can argue that. And he came out and he looked like he was the best player on the field the entire time. The three rushing touchdowns really, I believe, was a Super Bowl record, or ties a Super Bowl record, which is really impressive. Despite, I think, two of them or all three of them being on quarterback sneaks. I love quarterback sneaks. If they can't stop it, keep running it. But, it looks a little skewed just because those touchdowns were from 2 or 3 or even 1 yard out. So it kind of skews the numbers a little bit, in my opinion, but still an amazing performance for a guy who had never made it this far in his professional career at all. And then for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes went 21 for 27 for 182 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Despite the low passing yards number, Mahomes looked like he had been there before, because this was, I believe, his second or third Super Bowl that he has been to. Yeah, because they beat the 49ers and lost to the Buccaneers. So he's been in this type of situation before. He knows how to win it. He knows the pressure of the big stage. And he showed it. He proved that he was the best quarterback in the league towards the end of that game when he brought them back from, I believe they were down 10 at halftime, and I think that was probably the biggest that lead was for the entire game. But he brought them back their defense played amazing. Their offense was kind of running on all cylinders. But that was Patrick Mahomes. He knew what he was doing, and he really brought Kansas City back, and he pretty much won them that game. Then going back to Philadelphia, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert had a combined 19 receptions for 256 yards and 1 touchdown. So they were all very big focal points for that offense. They had all but maybe 50 or 60 of Jalen Hurts' passing yards in that game. And that's what you want to do. You want to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and they did it. A.J. Brown had the early touchdown over, I don't remember which cornerback it was, but made the corner look silly on that deep post to the corner of the end zone. But A.J. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league. Devontae Smith, one of the best up-and-coming receivers in the league. Goddard, one of the best tight ends in the league. And when the Eagles needed them to make plays, they made plays, plain and simple. Travis Kelce for the Chiefs had 6 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. Nothing flashy. That's an amazing performance for a tight end. But Travis Kelce, a lot of people kind of expect him to put up bigger numbers. But he did everything he needed to. He caught the ball when needed to. And he made plays, and he really helped the Chiefs win that game. There's really not a whole lot I can say about that. But, the Eagles, they had the game plan for Kelce, and he still showed out. And then the Chiefs, they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, and they also had a fumble recovery earlier in the game that was returned for a touchdown And they almost had 2, but it was called an incomplete pass. So, I mean, that you give that and the Chiefs still win regardless of what happens with that second fumble recovery touchdown. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts about it. I thought it was a really good game. I think it was one of the best Super Bowls we've had in a very long time. Unfortunately, it's going to be remembered for the holding penalty that kind of cost the Eagles the game at the very end with James Bradbury holding, I believe it was Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, it's kind of sad that that's the play that's going to be kind of the poster for that Super Bowl. That's going to be what people remember. But, I mean, as upset as I was, considering I did want the Eagles to win, despite me not really caring who won, I was cheering for the Eagles. And while, yeah, the play sucked, one play doesn't win or lose you a game. It can help. But the Eagles had a whole nother 58 minutes of that game that they could have put the Chiefs away, and they didn't. And the Chiefs came back and won. I don't think you can really fault the Chiefs or the Eagles in that situation. The Eagles afterwards came out and were they took full accountability. James Bradbury took full accountability for what happened. He knows he messed up. But despite that, the field was horrible. The amount of players and just on even one specific play, the amount of players that you would see slipping or ending up on the ground, I think that was particularly a big reason that the Chiefs ended up winning. Because if you can, I mean, I don't think they're kind of talking it up like they did a whole lot. And I personally, yes, the offensive line did a good job, but I believe that the field did a better job protecting Mahomes than the offensive line did. The field pretty much neutralized that entire Philadelphia front 4 and even front 7 from getting to him because they play with speed and they couldn't use speed because they were worried about slipping. And there was so many players ending up on the ground, slipping, and then pretty much just getting dogpiled on or getting laid on so they couldn't get up. And I think that kind of ruined the game for me, at least, when you're kind of neutralizing an entire part of a team's game plan, and it's not even the other team that's stopping them, it's the field that's stopping them. I just thought that kind of put a taint on the game, in my opinion. But regardless, still a good game. Congratulations to the Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl. Really couldn't have asked for a better game despite some of the negatives that happened throughout it. Then moving on to LeBron James breaking the NBA's all-time scoring record that was previously held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for, I believe, 39 or 40 years, which is unbelievable that record stood for so long. But just a quick overview of the game. It happened back on February 7th, and my Oklahoma City Thunder ended up beating the Lakers in that game 133-130. So, I was very happy about that. Not obviously. I am a Thunder fan. I don't think that was very obvious. But I'm a Thunder fan, so I loved seeing them beat the Lakers. And I also loved that they were a part of such a big moment that whenever people look back at that moment in 15 years, 30 years, 45 years, whatever it may be, they're going to see that the Los Angeles Lakers were in that game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that many don't really think of as a competitive team or a good team. And they're proving everyone wrong this year. I might make a video on the Thunder later, maybe towards the end of the year, depending on what they do at the playoffs. But that's another video for another day. But for the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points and 8 assists. Josh Giddey had 20 points and 6 assists and 5 rebounds. And then Jalen Williams, their rookie, had 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 steals. And then for the Lakers, LeBron James had 38 points and 7 rebounds. And Russell Westbrook off the bench had 27 points and 8 rebounds. So, I hate that Russell Westbrook has kind of been getting slandered, but I loved that he came off the bench and had such a good game against one of his former teams, against the team that drafted him. Russ is one of my favorite players of all time. He's always going to be. So, I loved that he had a great game despite it being obviously very, very overshadowed by LeBron's game and by LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record. I guess I really don't have a whole lot of thoughts about it. I thought it was a really good game. I know the Thunder were winning by a lot, and I think I went to bed before the game ended, and then I woke up and saw that they won barely, despite them having a pretty big lead. I think 10 or so points going into halftime. But no, I thought it was a good game. I've never been a huge LeBron fan, but I think the fact that he broke a record that many thought was unbreakable, and he's doing so despite, he's, I think, 38 or 39 years old, and this is when you think players are going to start slowing down, and he really hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. So, he's going to take this record to a whole new level that I truly think might actually become unbreakable, unless a guy like Luka Doncic or someone plays for 20, 25 years or something crazy, because LeBron does not look like he's slowing down, and that's kind of scary for the league. The fact that he's in year, I believe, 19, going into year 20 this coming fall, if he does decide to play, it's kind of scary that he's this old in basketball. In the basketball world, he's considered old, and he's still showing out like he was 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't really got a lot of thoughts about the game. Congratulations to LeBron. Not a record I ever thought was going to see broken, but I'm glad that I was able to witness it. Obviously not in person, but I think we as fans take things like this and we take players like LeBron and their greatness for granted, and that's something I know I've done for most of my life, because I was never really a basketball fan, and then I've never really been a LeBron fan. I just haven't. I've never really been a fan of, I don't know why. I don't really have a good reason. I just wasn't really a fan, so to say. But, I think it just comes down to now we as fans and myself, we kind of have to just watch every moment and we can't take it for granted. We have to realize that it's not like LeBron's going to play another 10, 15 years. He's probably going to play maybe a max of 5 more, and that's kind of pushing it, I think. So, we just gotta watch every one of these moments. We got to take it in and just realize we are watching greatness that we honestly may never see again. I'm not going to get into the GOAT debate. That is maybe another video in the future. Wink, wink. Don't really have anything planned, but I might have to now that I said that. But yeah, I guess that's really all I've got today. As always, I'm your host, Parker Striha, and this has been the Striha Sports Podcast. Our random sport fact of the day is that Luka Doncic leads the NBA in scoring this season with 33.3 points per game. As always, thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever a new video gets posted.